in the very city area, industrialized area, only I can find in the pigeons or crows. None of which, so appetizing.
No, not really. Rick actually eats pigeons.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Oh, yeah, they are fat. They are fat.
Mm.
Because we feed them the
Well,
grains
that's
and,
right. Feed them grains and bread
the bread.
Bread and stuff. So, yeah.
Intermuscular fat. Very tasty.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. All right. So, hello, everyone. So, welcome to the barbecue pit. I'm just doing a live today. I'm really just testing the equipment since my recent move. And, yeah, we've got the lovely Sammy is joining us again. And, of course, everyone knows Rick. So, yeah, everything's going... Yeah, I'm just going to call it the barbecue pit because basically where I am right now is the barbecue pit. It's right out on my right at my door. So we're going to talk all things carnivore, all things diet, all things just life in general. So first off, we'll just say hello. Thank you all for joining us. And if you do have questions, please let us know with some cues in the front. And I'll just say hello to Josephine. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Sammy, you like you were just saying, you live in industrialized area, part of Osaka, isn't it?
The Yokohama, next to Tokyo.
Okay,
southern, Tokyo area. Very, very industrialized.
Very built up. Yeah, very built
sure.
Up.
Cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
Acres and acres and the buildings and buildings still springing up all the time.
Yeah, it's really built up. Actually, it's a great place to visit. I actually love Yokohama. It's a lot of fun.
Sure.
Yeah, it's but a short visit, not so much to live.
I know. Yeah, the majority of the attraction, Tokyo, got all of the attractions. Yokohama is maybe good, but not a long stay. No, we're gonna get bored. Maybe day one.
I don't know. I mean, there's some fun parts there, like around like the harbor area where those big red buildings where the markets and things are.
Sure. Like then if you want to experience the harbor area, go to Sydney. Sydney got the more exciting scenes than the Yokohama.
I disagree.
No, definitely. The Westerners have
once you've seen Sydney Harbour, like the bridge, you've seen the Opera House, and maybe take a cruise across the harbour. That's it. You're done. There's nothing else.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great. But it's same logic applied to Yokohama. Yokohama is a smaller city version of the Sydney. Let's call it.
Yeah, maybe.
But beautiful place.
It's more fun. Yeah.
But you should come.
Yeah. It's worth seeing anyway. Yeah.
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, you were just I actually was talking about this before. You just put up some videos on why one was why you went vegetarian back in the 90s. So do you want to tell us about that? Why did you go vegetarian?
Well, it's a combination of things. The main thing was that I was living with my parents again after the hurricane, and I had so much meat that was given to me. I was just eating meat and nothing else. And the vegetables were a little hard to get anyway because there was no power and the stores were closed. They threw out a lot, and fruits and vegetables only last so long without refrigeration. So we had no power for at least 3 months in this neighborhood, but I had a generator that I had at my house, and I had a freezer, and I had a refrigerator, and I stuffed it. Everybody was giving away their meat before it went bad. So I never ate so good in my life. I had ribeye steaks. I had filet mignon. I had, seafood. I mean, everything. It was all meat all the time. And I never touched the fruit or vegetable. I did have eggs as well. Not as many as before because they were a little hard to get. But I did have, at that time, I still had friends that had farms. So I was able to get eggs from there. So I was eating about the most pure carnivore diet you could ever imagine. I guess nowadays you call it the lion diet. because it's basically just, beef, lamb. Yeah, there was some seafood, but not that much. But yeah, and I was eating that for months. And then at the end of 92, which was the year we had Andrew, I kept getting all this pressure from my parents because my parents were very much in supplements. They took vitamins. They said you had to have 5 or 6 servings of fruit or vegetables every day. And they just kept telling me, and the funny thing was, I felt fine. I never had a problem. And I worked hard after the hurricane. I had to do a lot of physical work and I wasn't getting tired like everybody else. I just felt really good. But they just kept telling me all the time, you're going to have a heart attack. You can't do this. You're getting older, And I was, 25 at the time, 24, 25. I wasn't that old. They said, oh, when you get to your 30s or 40s, you're going to have all these problems. You're going to gain weight. Well, I like the idea of gaining weight because I'm skinny. But the problem is I just kept getting this pressure from my dad. And he says, well, why don't you eat a little bit of fruit? I said, I don't like fruit. Trying to get me to eat avocados, some nasty things. There's only 2 varieties of avocados I can eat without throwing up. I mean, I can eat citrus to some extent. And I mean, once in a while, I'll eat a banana from the yard, but I really don't even like ripe bananas. I only like them green. So it was really difficult. And then all the salads, and my dad did a lot of juicing. I still have his old juicers. He had a Champion juicer and an Oster juicer and all these things. And every morning you'd hear that thing grinding up. I said, Dad, what are you making? Mulch? Because it's just here in this thing, and this nasty green and orange juice comes out. Put carrots in there, and you drink it, and it's awful. I said, oh, but see, I was convinced that in order for food to be healthy, it had to taste bad. It had to be something unpleasant, and anything that tasted good was bad for you. That's pretty much what they said.
We all were convinced on that.
Mm-hmm. And you haven't tasted nasty until you've had a wheatgrass and spinach smoothie. That is just so horrible. And it doesn't matter how many apples or carrots you put in there, it's nasty. It's just terrible.
It's like eating grass.
It smells like grass too. I told my dad I could do the same thing. I just wait for it to rain and mow the lawn and scoop out all that stuff that grows inside the lawnmower. That's what it looks like. And then the other thing was, when you're juicing, you're constantly throwing away all of this fiber material. And I'm looking at that, I think, well, at least I don't have to eat that stuff, because can you imagine eating all those vegetables? But the problem with the juice, that it didn't agree with me. When I started the diet, I felt pretty good. I was still eating eggs and I was having some dairy. But then I started to get stomach issues and gas and diarrhea. So then they said, well, you need to cut out the eggs because the eggs give you gas. So I cut out the eggs, felt a little better. Then I felt worse. Then it was like, get rid of the dairy. I got rid of the cheese, and the yogurt. And then it was like within a couple of weeks, I had some diarrhea that wouldn't stop. Every day, diarrhea. And then by July, I got the worst flu of my life. I felt so bad. I couldn't even eat anything. Just the thought of eating that nasty stuff. I couldn't eat. I didn't eat for a week. And it wasn't until after I started feeling better, the first thing I had was eggs from my front yard. And then when I felt good enough, I went to the store. I bought some meat. I went over to the Winn-Dixie and I bought the meat that was marked down. I started cooking that. And it was incredible because within a day, I had felt horrible for over a week. And both my parents were sick too. It was a terrible flu. And they were kind of stuck at the house. I was the first one that got over it. But thankfully, I started to feel better. Within days, I felt great. I had lost my voice. The sore throat was just really bad. When I was a kid, I used to get these terrible sore throats. The whole back of my mouth would turn white. You couldn't even swallow. It was just awful. And then I didn't have one for like 10 years. Then when I went plant-based, I got the worst sore throat of my life. It was terrible. And, I was going to go to the doctor, but I felt too sick. And the thing was, it took a while for that to clear up. And my voice was actually damaged for several months because I sounded a little weird. It was such a bad flu. And then, but within a few days, I felt good enough to go around. And it took probably 3 months before I got rid of all the effects. Because when I was talking, I couldn't speak in certain tones. If I talked too high, it would sound weird. That flu really just went through me. And I actually lost weight from it. I think I lost like 10 pounds or more from that stupid flu. But, within 3 months, it was back to normal. And believe me, after that experience, I said, never again. I will never touch another plant in my life unless I have nothing else to eat, because it was just a bad experience.
a perfect example of what damage it does to you. We just grow up. We think it's normal. Like Sammy was saying before. She was vegan from age 6. Imagine what
Yes,
that
yes.
does to your body.
I was listening to Rick's story. I'm kind of feel jealous about it because, since 6, I was vegan, right? Not because I wanted to help the, animal rights and environment. I didn't think about anything. At that time, I had a very, very severe allergic reaction to my skin, like a hives. And my mom took me to the dermatologist. She decided the reason I was having a skin issue was because I was eating animal flesh. That was the reason I became a vegan kid. Of course, my digestive system messed up. I was incredibly malnourished. And since I was raised by a single mom, she kind of couldn't find out how to raise fatherless child. She kind of abandoned me at the age 4 already. That is why excessive, the being lonely status and malnourishment are full of carbohydrates. Because as a vegan, what can you eat? Carbohydrate, right? The three, the elements are perfect storm of developing eating disorder. I developed the severe one to the point that I developed the life-threatening 2 purging behaviors. One was throwing up thing, as you already people guessed it. Second one is taking laxatives. It got to the point that I took the 250 laxatives a day. Okay, so all of them developed the colon cancer formation later on. But why I had to be jealous about Rick is because, since 6, being in the eating the fruits and vegetable, juicing happened all the time. And they put the spinach, kale, Swiss chard full of oxalated juice. Because of that, I couldn't develop the intuition Nick had. Oh, it's bad. It's kind of a smell green. I thought the smell green is very appetizing. I loved it, literally loved it. That is why it took me to, 25 years to being a vegan. I couldn't find my intuition to tell my body that, oh, it's a shit. It's a, sorry, my language, it's a poison. It took almost half of the, quarter of the century to realize that carnivore is a
You
species
think it's
appropriate
normal.
diet. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that?
You just think it's normal, like, I was the same. Like my diet was, this is healthy, so it's good for you, So it smells like shit, but it's healthy. It tastes horrible. It tastes horrible. Like you can actually think about now, like drinking these drinks, it would burn your throat, and you like at the time you didn't
Make
think
you
about it,
sneeze.
but
Yeah, it's good.
yeah, that's
I used
right.
to
But
sneeze from it.
yeah, and look back now, you think, well, obviously that was a warning sign. It shouldn't be burning your throat like giving you a sore throat just because you have a drink.
Even bitterness is a kind of a signal. Mother Nature will tell you, oh, stop taking that. It's bad.
That's right.
But I couldn't receive that Mother Nature's, the advice.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like there's a reason why it's bitter or sour or things like that, because you're not supposed to be eating it. So yeah, it's I mean, hindsight, it's wonderful sort of thing, but you kind of, I mean, you can't do anything about it now, but it would be wonderful if we had that kind of intuition when we were younger, and maybe had that available to us that we could have grown up carnivore, something like that. But
Well, the thing is that they had scared me that I was going to get cancer because I'm eating so much beef. And that was the other reason I tried it. But my mother had cancer when she was younger. So they're trying to tell me, well, you're going to get cancer. And my dad said, well, you can't eat that much red meat because you're going to get cancer. But then I see you over there, you've already had cancer and you're eating on the carnivore diet now and it hasn't come back. So that tells me that all that advice that we're giving me is wrong. The meat doesn't cause cancer. It's more of a carbohydrate thing.
Well, it's a low fat thing too, you know. Fat is so important that we just, like we've been so indoctrinated to be scared of eating fat. Like I was fat phobic, really fat phobic. I'd cut up all my fat, and I only ate skinless chicken breast and all these other things because you're told that fat makes you fat. It's really bad for your heart and all this other stuff. But it's complete BS by very nefarious sort of people that use it for various
over the
things.
course of the human history, our ancestors predominantly ate red meat. If the meat causes cancer, we would have been died off long time ago.
Oh, a long time ago. We wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, of course.
And fat in particular, like fat is, we're adapted, not only because of fat, but not only to eat fat, but because of fat. Fat is is essential for brain growth and development and things like that. But and that's why babies especially. Actually, I was speaking to this morning, just a couple of hours ago. I did an interview with Amber O'Hearn. She does fantastic presentations on humans on the carnivore diet and lipivores. Because we need a high fat diet. It's absolutely just essential.
Yeah.
Here's a comment here. I actually did a juice diet for about a month. I can't do this, to this day, do any juicing. Yeah.
These vegans I know, they do juice fasting. It's horrible.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
Sometimes cancer patients thrive on the juice diet, just because of the fact that they have to do prolonged fasting to kind of a burn of the glycogen and glucose protein in their system.
There's also a book out there by a complete retard. The juice diet. He said that he beat cancer. Like he said that he had cancer, and then he beat it by just going home and doing the juice diet. And I'm going to call BS on that because he said he had colon cancer or something, or bowel cancer. And if you just did a juice diet, that just absolutely destroys your colon and your intestinal tract and everything like that. So I just think that the whole thing is a scam. There's the same thing happened here in Australia just a few years ago. There was a woman here who was trying to sell books, and she said that she beat cancer so she could sell this book, and it came out like a year later that she never had cancer in her life. And all a complete bloody scam. So these sort of things happen all the time, and unfortunately, people believe it. Then they start doing this juice. Juicing, will stop me from getting cancer. BS, it will.
Yeah, definitely, it's a crime.
Yeah, it is a crime. It is absolutely a crime against humanity. Like juice. I mean, you're on a low-fat diet. And like I say, fat is essential for human development and growth and just health in general. But, when you do these juice diets, you're basically flushing out all of the enzymes in your stomach and your digestive tract that you need to actually digest, absorb nutrients as well that just your body can't survive on.
Don't they talk about the nutrition deficiency, the vitamin mineral deficiency, especially fat soluble vitamins? None of those things existing in a juice diet. Don't they talk about that?
Right. Well, they say they're getting all their vitamins and minerals, but because obviously, like vegetables do have vitamins and minerals, but they're in a completely different currency. We can't absorb them anyway. But two, like especially if it's juice, it just goes straight through you anyway. So you're not going to absorb anything. So it is probably the most unhealthy way you could try to survive on, I think. So I just think it's a complete scam.
Yeah.
I remember my dad used to have a book. It was called Gerson or something, Gerson Therapy. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
Gerson. I got it here somewhere in the house. I got to locate all those old health books that they had when my mom had cancer. It was Gerson therapy, and it was something with juices, and I don't know. It's just horrible.
Yeah. Jack
Oh,
LaLanne was Jack
Yes.
LaLanne was a very famous. You know, he's probably one of the original sort of health influences back in the day, and he was
I-
very fit, very healthy sort of guy. But he was a big juice sort of
Mhm.
promoter as well. But he also ate a lot of meat and other things too that they don't tell you about. So
Interesting. I always thought he was a vegetarian.
no, not
Okay.
strictly, no. But yeah, he was big on juicing though. He just
Well, he sold juicers. My dad had
Yeah.
one of those Jack LaLanne juicers, but it broke. It basically just burned up. The only one that lasted was the Oster and the Champion, which I still have. The Jack LaLanne juicer, I guess it was made in China. It just went and it blew up. Now, he forced a lot of carrots down that thing. It was like, I mean, it was terrible. You know, every morning you'd hear that. And then he ate seaweed also. That was another thing. He used to eat seaweed. There it is,
Yeah.
Max Gerson. That's the
Yeah.
person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like seaweed is supposedly like pretty high in things like iodine and omega-3s.
I do eat seaweed because I'm Japanese. Now my
Yeah.
taste buds crave some. I'm not going to eat tons of them. Just a dried seaweed. I'm sprinkling on top of the, my beef. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
smell kind of a sea stuff. That's gonna tickle my Japaneseness. I'm happy with that,
Yeah, Japanese-ness.
if you will.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not
they
gonna,
eat a lot of water.
if you're eating a lot of meat, I don't think it's going to hurt you because
Oh.
once in a while I'll have fruit or sauerkraut with my meal, and it's occasional, but it doesn't do anything to me. I can eat it; it doesn't bother me. But I
Yeah.
just can't eat those horrible salads. And the worst would be the regular salad that people eat with salad dressing. That actually is like makes me throw up. If I've tried to eat it as a challenge, I ate maybe 4 spoonfuls and vomited the whole thing up. It was terrible
Oh, wow.
because they put all the seed oils and all the other garbage on it. And I can't eat anything with seed oils like that. It makes me sick. And then also a lot of the heavy spices that people use, they'll give me diarrhea. So I have to be careful. The only way I can use spices is if I use them from my own yard and they're fermented and dried and there's very, very little of it. But a lot of people I know, they go overboard. They put so much of that stuff in their meat, it just ruins it. And I don't see the point of it.
Yeah.
Rick's body is kind of what's that? The bird in a coal mine. They're very sensitive.
Canary?
Yeah, here you go.
Canary.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you how sensitive I am. Yesterday, a friend of mine gave me some ham, and it was delicious. I ate it with my lunch. Can you believe around, I guess, 7 o'clock last night, I had terrible diarrhea. My stomach was bothering me. I had to go really bad. So
Wow.
I went in there, I ran, and I called him up. I said, was that ham bad? He said, no, it was fine. I just bought it. But then when I looked at the label on the package, they had used several different chemicals, I guess, in the preservation process, and they added some type of it was dextrose or something like that, and it just reacted badly. And but the thing is, I haven't had a problem since. Once I flushed it out of my system, I ate normally. I went to the bathroom earlier; it was normal again. So my system is just really sensitive to that stuff.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think the longer you're on it, or the healthier your body is, the more sensitive you're going to be to introduce sort of chemicals and so on. So, and
the other thing, everybody I know is sick now.
Yeah,
they got the cold, the flu that's going around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's that season, winter over there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hot. I mean, winter here, it's still hot, but so far I'm holding up. I may have a touch of it. Maybe that's why I was sniffling a little bit, but I don't feel bad at all. But the other guys I work with, they're done. They have not been able to leave the house for 2 days. It's just terrible.
Yeah. Exactly what they should be doing, though, is getting outside.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've been outside. You can see I've been on my bike. I've been going to the store. I've been doing everything outside.
Great. I live in Japan now. It's a winter season, but I try to get that sunlight as much as possible. Where my lunchtime, which starts 11 a.m., I wear bikini and I eat my dinner in the sun to maximize the sun exposure as a cancer patient. Yeah, it's good. You can do it in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's cold in Japan. It's freezing cold.
Yeah,
winter there. So yeah, but I think there are. People are always going to say if you add this or that, for example, if you have a certain amount of protein in your diet, I think as long as you offset these things, even if you do take in some carbohydrates, as long as you offset these things by taking in a high fat diet, you're still going to be healthy.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question, DC, about your statement right now? There is a random cycle. Idea is that kind of the high fat and carbohydrates. The combination can cause a kind of a pathogenic condition. Where is a threshold of carbohydrate in the contents of the high fat diet, in your opinion?
Well, I try to make sure I don't take in carbohydrates.
We don't, but some people watching our the side stream eating a carbohydrate and meat at the same time.
It's the combination itself. Doesn't matter how small the combination is. When you eat carbohydrates, you're still going to get like an insulin response. You're going to produce fatty liver. And when you eat fat alone by itself, you don't store it as fat. It's very difficult to do that. But when you eat it with carbohydrates, that's when you start making more adipose tissue.
The insulin then.
Yeah, so there's no real sort of cutoff. You can't say eat 100 grams of carbohydrates in a day with combination of fat and say I can get away with this sort of thing. It's still going to do the same sort of thing. There are, some people will get away with it depending on their lifestyle and where they are.
Dr. Saladino stuff, right?
Yeah, Salad Boy, when he spends most of his day on the surfboard because he's not a doctor really. He's a beach bum, who he just survives on clickbait, and he has no idea how the body really works. But he can get away with a high deuterium diet, for example, because he's very active. He sweats a lot. He's in a hot climate. Right? So you sweat out the deuterium, and you and so on and so on. But that's now at the moment. That doesn't mean that it's going to be like that for him always. That doesn't mean it's not going to catch up to him. You keep pouring down a heap of carbohydrates down your throat, especially fructose and other things, which is toxic to your liver. Like it's even this idiot, that vegan idiot that he thinks he's going to live forever. What's his name? That
Brian Johnson.
Guy. Brian Johnson. Yeah, that idiot. Like they say he's the healthiest guy in the world because he's on the vegan diet, and his heart is like 10 years younger than he is, and so on and so on. But I wonder, what about his liver? He eats nothing but carbohydrates. He takes 75 different supplements and 200 pills a day, which is extremely high processed deuterium, which is just going to absolutely destroy your liver. These things do catch up. You may get away with them for a short time, but he exercises an hour a day, which is excessive as well. But and depending on what climate you live in as well, you may get away with it for now, but eventually it does catch up to you.
Yeah, too obvious.
Yeah. So glucose is a very efficient source of energy, okay, but it's not a source of nutrients. This is what people don't understand. This is the difference between carbohydrates and fat. I was talking about this with Amber. It's like, the brain can use glucose for energy, from carbohydrates, and the body can use from carbohydrates for energy because it's very quick to make glucose. But there's no nutrients in it. There's no fatty acids in there. There's no omega-3s. There's no all the rest of these different fatty acids, long chain, short chain, and medium chain sort of thing.
Yeah, and the fat is not that just you said that carbon-based energy substrates. It's a kind of a structure of all of the membranes, right? Membrane cells.
Yeah, it's the fatty acid profile that makes the difference to the health of our body. Like when I was diagnosed, I had a high protein, low fat diet. And a lot of carbohydrates, and I was eating 5 or 6 times a day. So I had lots of energy, but I had fatty liver. I had stage 4 follicular lymphoma. So, and I couldn't even I had a massive brain fog as well because I just didn't have the nutrients that you need from fatty acids. So there's a big difference between having carbohydrates will give you great energy. So what? It doesn't mean it's not gonna give you health.
At least
carbohydrates.
brain doesn't function. Yeah,
that's right. You need fat to function. You need fat to recover. You need fat to develop. And that's the problem. It's not a matter of energy or calories. It's a matter of nutrients.
Yeah, that is why the vegans, they kind of destroy the ranchers and very very aggressively try to make the ranchers or animal producers suffer. But we carnivore, we wouldn't attack the vegetable producers because we are very chilled and our brain function very well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Some of us grow vegetables and fruits.
Yeah.
I grow them and give them away.
Yeah. I grow fruit trees. I just like growing trees. I like growing things, but that doesn't mean I'm going to eat them.
Right.
Like that's like Rick says, it's duck food. I give that stuff to the animals. That's what it's good for.
Good.
Let the animals chew on that stuff, and then I'll just chew on the animals.
There you go.
Yeah.
I feed it to the ducks. I get delicious eggs, duck meat. You can't go wrong with that. And if an iguana's eating my vegetables, well, they're going to get eaten too. So
good age.
You upcycle those nutrients that we can't digest. Like every animal, like every mammal on the planet has a high fat diet. The difference is that, like ruminants, for example, they can ferment and chew the fatty acids out of the like brush and the foliage and things like that we can't do. So we get it we upcycle it by putting it through the animal first. So you put all those nutrients into the animal and then we get it from them. So that's just the way it works.
Right.
Yeah, brilliant system.
It is. It's absolutely an incredible system, and it is the reason why we have developed to be the hyper carnivore or the dominant species on the planet. Because without fat, animal fat, we would not have grown our brains. We would not have grown, to be as smart. Like we can change our environment, whereas animals just blend in.
Yeah, that is why. Yeah, go on.
The other thing too is if you're having a garden. If you don't have animals, it becomes much more difficult to grow your fruits and vegetables. Every time that my ducks go away, my fruits and vegetables start to decrease. But when the birds come back, the animals come back because they're constantly fermenting and pooping, and it's cycling through the animal. They eat the plant material, it goes into the ground, then the bacteria in the ground, they coexist with the fungi, they release those nutrients that are in the soil. But if you just plant stuff in the yard and you don't put any fertilizer, it's not going to grow because the water just washes the nutrients right out. But when you have all that manure and you have all the bacteria and fungi that stays in the layer of the soil, and it's very easy to grow. Plus, the birds, they eat the insects, the diseases that attack the plants, the bacteria, they kind of balance it out. So you have to have animals and plants. You can't have one or the other. And this is why my
That's
vegan
right.
friends have such a hard time. I said, you're going to have to raise chickens or something. Well, I don't want to have the animals in captivity. I said, well, you could turn them loose, but then the predators are going to eat them. You know, a garden
Yeah.
is not natural. I try to explain
Mm.
to them, a garden is not natural. You don't find a
Mm.
vegetable garden in the woods. So if you want to eat vegetables, you're going to have to find a way of doing it that has its own ecosystem. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy industrial fertilizer and put it on the ground and spray industrial chemicals and keep this thing going, because otherwise it won't do it. I mean, you throw some seeds on the ground and see how many vegetables you get. You'll get nothing.
Yeah,
Mm. Great
exactly.
point.
Yeah,
Great point.
you can't grow anything without animals. Simple as that. You know,
Yeah. You know,
they
they say that
mulch the
they
nutrients
yeah.
for the trees as well.
Right. They put that, you know, they think that they put that nitrogen back, you know, chemical nitrogen. Oh, nitrogen back. We're going to grow that new vegetable. But they were missing that microorganism from the poop. Poop is amazing.
Exactly.
Rejuvenate
Yeah.
the soil.
That's right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, like animals are the mulching machine that they feed everything. They feed all life on Earth. You know, they're incredible. So it's a brilliant system, like Sammy said before.
Yeah.
Right.
But unfortunately, Monsanto's and, you know, big corporation
Oh.
try to make acres and one single, you know, like a grain, and then no animal involved. We're not gonna make it. And they're saying, oh, topsoil is depleting. Of course, you are asking for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's they're causing it. Yeah. So yeah, that's right. And like in Australia, the topsoil is depleted so much that there are we are making the deserts are actually growing, in different areas of Australia. So it's really ridiculous. If you want to have all the not benefit from eating Brian, okay, he does sell all his supplements on his site. He looks so sick, poor man. Yeah, that's the thing. He looks actually fairly similar to what I looked like when I was diagnosed. Have you noticed? You notice his skin? He's very grey. If you have a look at Brian Johnson, he's very grey. You can almost see through his skin. That's what I looked like when I was diagnosed. I was
Really?
very lean. I was very fit. I was very lean, but I was grey. Like my wife, she told me I looked really pale and grey all the time. So
Sorry, is it a guy kind of look like a very feminine guy?
yeah.
Oh, I got this guy. I made a video about it.
Yeah.
Are you okay with men? I don't know that men stuff. You know, I worry about his estrogen dominancy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. He'd be very low on testosterone, I think.
I think it's funny when the vegans say that I look sickly. That makes me laugh.
Yeah, and you can see like most vegans look like that. They have no color in their skin. Like they look very sickly. And he looks exactly the way I looked when I was diagnosed. Very grey skin, and he looks horrible. And I mean, he thinks he has lots of energy and he's fit and he's healthy and his heart's strong and all this sort of BS. But I guarantee you, someday soon, he's going to get a very bad diagnosis.
Well, I would say if you want to test and see how healthy someone is, give them a pick and shovel and send them out in the sun and see how much digging they can do before they run out of energy.
Oh, good point. Yeah, they can't do.
Can
I
you
have to
ask
do that all the
time? Can you ask the guy on the left what he generally eats in a day?
You
I'm
made a
assuming
video.
I'm assuming you're talking about me, but I generally eat. Maybe depends on the week. It'd be one, OMAD or two MAD. Eggs and meat of some sort. Very fatty meat. I eat a lot of fat. Sometimes I'll eat just fat alone by itself because especially when I make tallow, for example, I get beef fat or lamb fat. I'll fry it up, and I'll eat just that, because especially it's great, especially if you feel like you got a cold or flu coming on, increase your fat intake. When I do eat, I usually eat within about a 5 or 6 hour window, and the rest of the time is just fasting, so called. I eat my last meal about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's usually either lamb or beef. It's always ruminant, never a monogastric. I don't eat birds or chicken, especially, and unless it's wild caught or something like that. But generally, because it's just not fatty enough. And I think like a minimum of 70% of my nutrient intake is fat at minimum. So that's generally how I eat. But I do have videos on how I eat on my channel if you want to go check
Very
that
interesting one. I recommend people to watch that. Interesting, especially egg butt make you hungry.
Eating fat alone sits in your stomach so long and gives no energy. Fat is the highest source of energy. You have far more energy from fat than you do from carbohydrates or protein. Far more energy. Okay. It doesn't sit in your stomach, and the thing is, when it comes down to the mitochondrial level, when it enters into the Krebs cycle of the mitochondria, the respiratory circulation of the mitochondria, where you combine oxygen with carbon, which is your food, into the mitochondria, which produce ATP, EZ water, and CO2. Okay, those chains of molecules are much longer with fat, which means that you're going to have energy for much longer. Whereas, unfortunately, some people think that because of that eating fat makes you fat. Well, that's not true.
No.
It's not true at all.
No.
It's just that it is a much more sustainable source of energy, and it's a non-fermentable source of energy. So for us cancer patients like Sammy and myself, high-fat diet is, I think it's essential for everyone, but it is actually absolutely crucial.
Yeah, but one thing though, if the person Justin, I think that if he doesn't have enough enzyme, the biodes and stuff, he might be tired by consumption of the big chunk of the fat because he cannot digest and absorb.
Yeah, there is that, but fat is highly satiating as well, so you get fuller quicker. And a lot of people will think it feels like it's just sitting there, but it's not. It's just that it's the reason why it breaks down slower is so that you don't have to eat 5 or 6 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not hungry, just don't eat. That's one reason why a lot of people survive well on like OMAD or 2MAD, because they have a high fat diet. So it's just a matter of like how many meals are you going to eat, and you shouldn't be eating all day long anyway, because you're not a cow. You're not supposed to be grazing. So
Great
anyway,
point.
that's my take on it. So, what were we talking about?
We are talking
fiber's
about
another one. Fibers. So, fiber's another thing. People get caught up on. I was talking to Amber about this morning, but these. Animals break down fiber into the fatty acids. We just can't do that. We can't break down fiber. So it's just another thing that we should not be eating, and we certainly don't need. We can't absorb anything from it. So I think it's very difficult though for people to get their head around eating a high fat diet. It was difficult for me when I first started to, because I always hated eating fat.
Yeah.
So it took me a while. Yeah. How about you, Sammy? You were the same. You were very fat phobic.
Yes, I'm very high fat dieter. My nearly 90% of my calorie intake comes from fat. That's why it's easy for me to eat nearly 4,000 kilocalorie a day. I'm 5'1", very tiny human being. But this is something I always wanted to tell people that, my gene related to obesity. I have a 75 likelihood of the obesity. Then I eat 4,000 calories. Majority come from fat. Am I obese? Probably not. Meaning that high fat not gonna make you fat, and also that just a high calorie intake that's gonna automatically make you fat. No, both of which absolutely no. I just wanted to tell people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's put it this way: if fat made you fat, I would be the fattest person here.
Wait,
Yeah,
three of us got to be
yeah, all
obese.
three of us will be.
3 to 6,000 calories a day for decades.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
sure. Just know the bacteria in our guts doesn't need fiber. What fiber does is actually depletes your stomach and bowels of bacteria and enzymes that your body needs to break down food, because it's like eating sandpaper and it just rushes everything through. It actually blocks you from absorbing other nutrients that you should be getting from your diet. So fiber is an absolute menace, and in fact, that is the name of a very, very good book, Fiber Menace. I recommend that to everyone.
Yeah,
It is a very
yeah.
good book.
Mm.
We should not be eating fiber.
Okay, I'm gonna make an argument for the sake of argument. People who are on the standard American diet, a hell of a lot of carbohydrate, maybe fiber, it could be kind of mitigates the quick absorption of the glucose. What do you think? Just only like a
I mean,
conditional
it is
benefit.
fast, like a fast source of glucose. I mean, any carbohydrate is, but it's not worth the damage of what it does to your body.
No.
So, and you can get. I mean, we make our own glucose anyway from gluconeogenesis if we eat enough protein and things like that. So, I would just avoid it at all cost. And that the major cause of hemorrhoids, hormone dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, all kinds of problems for men and women, and hormone disruption and things like that in their ovaries as well. So, yeah. Hey, Cranky Carnivore Cover, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, hit the like, please, guys, and share if you want. Really appreciate it. So like this is, I think it's one of the hardest things to convince people of. It's everyone thinks that, like Rick was saying before, like he just gets told, he was told in the 90s all the time, well, you're going to have a heart attack, you have to have vegetables and fruit because you need your fiber and you need to, so on and so on and so on. So it's just drummed into us from like everywhere, every angle, like TV, movies, news even. They have these so-called experts come on and tell us that you have to eat this way, and all these. And there's so many fad diets out there too. Like when I was living in Japan, there was the banana diet. You just eat a banana for breakfast, and then that was it. Like they ate nothing else for the rest of the day until they got home, sort of thing. And everyone said, "Oh, well, it really works because I lost weight." Well, I mean, of course they lost weight. they're not eating anything,
Starvation diet.
Yeah. One thing about weight that I've always noticed, being skinny myself, there's no advantage to being thin, in my opinion. Now, it comes down to composition, because when you see somebody that's skinny, you think, well, they're sickly. If somebody's fat and they lose a bunch of weight and they don't have enough muscle, they're going to look terrible. It would be better for them to be a little fat and have extra muscle than to lose all that fat with the muscle and become weaker, and then you're less functional. I mean, to me, I don't even care what your weight is. If you look, you look good, I think that's the main thing. But then you have to have the performance to go with it, because you may look good, but you may be sick inside. You have blood sugar that's too high, or you have all these other issues that you don't notice until it's too late. So it's a combination of things. But people I know get fixated on the weight, and they get mad at me because they see how much food I can eat and how skinny I am, and they just can't figure it out. They said, well, you must have a crazy high metabolism. I said, maybe I do, but why do I have a high metabolism? I mean, look at what I'm eating. They're over there eating duck food, and I'm eating meat, fatty meat, and that's basically it. Eggs and meat and some dairy, and that's it. And they're eating all these baked goods. And, if you think about it, if they're triggering all that insulin, that has to go somewhere, and then they have to put on that fat. And then it's so hard for them to lose weight, because every time their body tries to go back and take some of that fat and use it, they stick some more carbohydrates in their system, and the blood sugar goes up. And it's just, and then they struggle. Oh, I have to starve myself to lose weight. And then they lose weight. And what happens? A month later, they get more weight back.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I have to, leave here. I have to go. So before that, I have to answer this question. Sami, how old you are? When I was diagnosed as, stage 4 colon cancer, metastasis liver, I was 48. Now, currently, 52. Now, answer for you. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
I'm leaving.
Okay.
Talk to you guys. Yeah, very much.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us, Sammy. Have a great day. Yeah. So Sammy is a great example. She hasn't had, she did have a short bout of treatment, not a lot though, but she had metastases to the liver and to the lungs. And 4 years later, she's going strong on a high-fat carnivore diet. That's proof.
I've seen her interviewed on some other channels. I don't remember. I think on Dr. Chafee's channel and maybe Sean Baker, and I've seen her around. So, but again, I was always told that carnivore diet will give you cancer, and yet there's you, and there's other people. There's Sammy. There's a lot of people out there that are coming out saying, "Look, I had cancer, and now I'm on the carnivore diet." And yes, they had treatment, but I know a lot of people, they've had treatment and they got cancer again and died. So, it's a combination. At the very least, what I say is, look, the carnivore diet doesn't make it any worse. You get the treatment. If it comes back, it's like with Jeff, you see what happened with him. The cancer came back and it took him. But the thing is, he got to live better the time that he was here. He wasn't just in bed all the time, helpless, like you were.
The treatment will bring it back itself as well. Yep. The treatment feeds the disease as well, and it weakens your immune system. It totally it makes vast changes in your body. Like it literally changes your DNA as well. It feeds the disease. It weakens your immune system. It weakens your body's ability to produce platelets and white blood cells and things like that for your immune system. So this can allow other infections to come in as well. Even while you're going through treatment, a cold or flu can kill you, and the cancer can grow, which is what happened the second time with me going through, going through a maintenance treatment. It started growing again, and then even through the clinical trial I did, it just kept growing. Because there was there was a study done on chemotherapies in 2003 or 4, I think it is. The efficacy of chemotherapy drugs, like treatments in the standard care, was 2.5%, 2.4% or something. Incredibly low efficacy, and you can see why so many people are dying from the disease still today.
Right.
But, now I'm 10 years in remission, and this is my 11th year now. So it is just remarkable, the difference that a high fat carnivore diet can do. And like you said, we're all told that meat and fat causes cancer, and completely the opposite. Is a low fat. It's the low fat diets that cause disease. The low fat diets that cause the problem. So, so it just, it really grinds your gears, that the whole thing, the system that's developed to do this to us, really does grind your gears.
Yes.
But yeah, Sammy's great. She comes on here quite often, but we always talk. What else were we talking about before? I was thinking about when I was talking about Amber this morning, the fact that we just look at babies, like the development of babies, they require a high fat diet. They get a lot of fat and even some carbohydrates, from breast milk and things like that. But look at the size of a baby. When babies are born, they have a big bulbous head and a small body. They look like a bobblehead. There's a reason. Like all that energy goes to, all that fat goes to feeding the brain and the brain's development, because most of your energy is taken up by the brain. And if you don't feed it fat, you don't get ketones, right? So,
right.
And actually, another good point is that it's not a natural state for the human body to be lean. It's not a natural state. Some people are naturally lean, yes, but they still have more fat, like adipose tissue, than say an ape or like a chimpanzee or gorilla or anything like that. They are very, very low in that, and obviously they have very small brains as well. But humans are unique in the fact that the more adipose tissue we carry, the more ketones we actually get or produce that go to the brain and so on. So the leaner you are, you may find that even if you're a lean, healthy carnivore, compared to someone who has a lot more adipose tissue, even in a healthy state, you will produce less ketones than someone with more body fat. So fat is very important. It's not a natural state. Like the bodybuilder leanness is not actually a natural state for it to be in.
Right.
Yeah. So fat is incredibly important. Love Sammy. My question is, when did you start carnivore in relation to your cancer journey? I think with Sammy, I can't answer exactly, but if you have a look at the interview I did with Sammy, she's got, she tells us all the details there. I've got quite a few talks, lives, and talks with Sammy on my channel. You can check out. But I think she started carnivore not long after she was first diagnosed, actually. So, yeah. Used to be a palliative care RN, could nearly guarantee that approximately 5 years prior they had been treated successfully with a primary cancer. Yeah. That's why they test. Even mine is what they call a recurring type of cancer. It's called follicular lymphoma. So it's a lifelong disease, but apparently. But even with other cancers, after treatment, the reason they keep testing you for 3 to 5 years afterwards, because of the high risk of it returning. Because even a successful treatment of cancer, they don't actually kill the cancer stem cells. They actually just kind of like cutting a tree off at ground level. The roots are still there, So these are, it's the efficacy is incredibly low when it comes to standard of care. I was speaking. Okay, yep. So, but that's just the way it is, unfortunately. And we're all part of now, I suppose, talking about the carnivore diet, hopefully waking people up to the fact that this is what we've been told is all complete BS, and a high-fat diet is very healthy for you. In fact, it's not just very healthy; it's essential. It is essential for good health. And even though there are some people out there, some ridiculous people out there that have some sort of body image success temporarily, that it doesn't mean that it's a healthy way to live, like having such a high deuterium diets and things like that. So, yeah. Actually, you were talking about that on your that video. I think you were talking about why you went to vegetarian. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, like you said, it's very difficult at the time. You didn't really have the resources to convince people, to convince your parents, for example. But I mean, all we can do really is what we have. We do our best with what the information we have at the time, and that's all we can do.
Well, the problem is that everyone kept telling me, well, you're young, you can get away with it. But I'm no longer young. So now that I'm in my 50s, they have to take me more seriously. People that know me, they know what I can do. They know what I look like. I mean, I'm not the healthiest person in the whole world, but I look better than the average 56-year-old, and I have a lot of energy, and I don't have any aches and pains. I haven't been to a doctor since I was 28, and I just keep going. And I try to explain to them, this isn't that bad. And now with the internet, I can show them. I had my friend that was overweight and had heart disease and everything, and he got into the Dr. Barry group and he got excited about it. Of course, the damage was already done. He had already 5-way bypass. I mean, once you've done a certain amount of damage, you're not going to be able to recover from that. The best thing you can do is slow it down, slow down the decline, but you're not going to be able to rebuild. Now, the younger you are, I think, you might be able to rebuild some of that. But once you're in your 70s or 60s or 70s, it's probably too late to reverse all the damage. But at least you can slow it down.
Yeah, I think that you can do a certain amount of recovery, like a repair. I mean, I've had a lot of damage done to my body. From chemotherapies and poor diet and so on. But I've recovered a certain amount. I don't think you'll ever get everything back. Like you'll never become 100% heal everything, sort of thing. But you can improve things, a certain percentage, like a little bit at least.
But the other thing too is I think in my case, it's actually kept me in a younger state than most people, because I cut my leg. I had a piece of broken glass go into it, and it's been about a week and it's just about healed. I mean, I can heal most injuries within a week. And I have other friends, when they get injured, it takes longer. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks. Sometimes it takes even longer than that. And I've never gotten infected either. And I'm always in the dirt. I'm always outside. I walk barefoot all over the place. I've had several scrapes and cuts, and I've never had an infection. And in fact, when I look at where my old cuts were, I don't even really have a scar. But other people I know, they develop a more pronounced scar. And I was thinking maybe the damage that they've done internally is the same way. So it's going to be more difficult, especially the way that they eat and the stress that they have, because I limit the stress in my life. I don't let the little things bother me like some people do. Some people will get upset and they won't let it go. It's just constant complain, and angry. And it's like this political thing. This man wins president and they're still mad about it. And they keep getting upset all the time. And I said, you can't, there's nothing you can do about that. You need to take care of yourself. But I can't. Everything, the world is falling apart. And then people, even sports, that a certain team doesn't win, they get upset about it. They have a problem and they take it to themselves. I said, well, what difference does it make when it comes down to it? I think the most important thing is that you keep yourself as strong and healthy as possible. You know, my biggest fear is to end up helpless and in a nursing home. I don't want to do that. That's why I developed the heart attack diet. The whole idea of
Yeah.
the heart attack diet is you feed yourself the meat, the fat, all the things that make you feel good, make you strong, and you keep doing your thing. And then one day you just have that massive heart attack and you fall over and that's it. And there's no coming back. You just drop dead and you're done with it. And
Yeah,
that
I
was
agree with.
my theory. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. I was the same. After 3 years of chemotherapy, I didn't want any more. Give me a heart attack anytime.
Hmm.
Drive it till the wheels fall off and then just collapse.
Yeah. That's it.
So, yeah, exactly. So, but it's crazy. People, they fixate on so many different things. Like you said, like with sports. If people were so emotional about the world around them as they were about sports, it'd be a much better world. I think it'd be. Um, but it's crazy, they go nuts when they do the football team loses or something like that. Like, who cares?
Hmm.
Like, got another game next week.
Right.
What does it matter? No one cares.
No.
It's crazy, but
And
they
some people
fixate on
think
the wrong thing.
they're always thinking about what other people are thinking of them. Well, I can't
Yeah,
eat this way because they're going to think that I'm crazy. They're going to think, I said, that's good. That everybody thinks I'm a caveman. I tell them I'm a quack. I don't care if they think I'm crazy because they're not going to do anything
I
for me.
tell them I am a caveman. I tell them
Yeah.
exactly that. I tell them I am a caveman. That's why I survived. You know, There's nothing wrong being a caveman. Take
No.
it. I'll take that. And like, generally speaking, too, like, no one is thinking about you. No one is thinking, like, spending their whole day thinking about what you're doing. So stop worrying about it. Like,
Hmm.
and if someone says anything, who cares? Like, honestly,
Exactly.
does it? It doesn't. It's not going to. What someone else says, it shouldn't affect the way you live your life. Especially when
Hmm.
it comes to your health. Because this is the thing I tell people is these people that criticize you for not eating carbohydrates or cakes and cookies because they think it's normal food, all right? Which I get told all the time, like, you know, you don't eat normal. This is normal, sort of thing. Cakes, cookies, and all this sort of stuff. That's not normal. But these people, they don't pay the consequences of you eating junk food, right? So
Hmm.
why let that concern you, what they say, when you're the one that has to deal with the consequences?
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
you just have to put it into perspective. Cynthia's got a message here. I worked in the cardiac cath lab and cardiac care floor as an RN. We had a lot of slim, so-called healthy eating coming in with blockages. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, actually, I've got a short on that. One of the really good doctor, I forget his name at the moment, but even in the animals in the animal kingdom, right? Carnivores don't have heart attacks. Other animals do. Ruminant animals, horses, cows, sheep, all these other, they have heart attacks. So why is that? Why don't
Hmm.
carnivores in the wild have heart attacks? Hey, Lisa, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. You're welcome to join if you wish. Let me know. I'll send you the link. It's Lisa Wanderers. She has a great little channel too. She's a bit of a gypsy here in Australia. Yeah, she lives in a caravan and sort of drives around Australia.
Oh,
Very cool.
okay.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, today's normal food. Yeah, today's normal food did not even exist when my grandparents were growing up. Exactly right. Like, you know, all these chemical-ridden, highly processed junk foods are normalized. People think it's a normal way to eat. Even salads, like, they didn't exist like 200, 300 years ago.
No.
You know, all these fruits and vegetables and everything like that. None of these things grew wild. You know, and even when fruits and vegetables did grow in the wild, they were completely different to the ones we have today as well. They're not genetically modified. They're not sweetened and that sort of thing. And plus, how did we survive ice ages? We have ice ages, like I say, every 10,000 years on average, and where nothing grows, absolutely nothing, except like enough vegetation that the ruminants and other animals can survive on. Do you have any hypervigilance around body sensations, considering what you've been through? I did actually, after coming out of, especially after after each treatment, but especially after the transplant, the stem cell transplant, my skin was hypersensitive. My mouth, fruits or vegetables would literally burn my mouth. They would literally burn. Like I would blister. Like I couldn't eat it because it was too acidic, and I had all sorts of problems with that as well at first. I do have. I still have some other issues that are sort of gradually getting better, but there's a number of things. My skin would burn, like even just sitting indoors. If I open the curtains, for example, and the sunlight came through, I'd get sunburn. My skin was hypersensitive to sunlight and things like that as well. So I had quite a number of problems with that. Thanks for the question. And joining us. There's a number of things that, everyone's different, of course, and they have these different hypersensitivities after treatments, after chemotherapy, and we all sort of. I think you just have to deal with them as they come. There's nothing else you can do if you go through these treatments. So, but you work it out. I did. So what's going on with you, Rick? What's going on with your channel?
Just the usual, just putting quick videos. I'm usually working or doing something else, so I'm not set up at the point where I can make any good quality videos yet. So I just do little narrations, like when I'm riding my bike. Sometimes I may be doing a project, I may be fixing something, I'll put a little video of that. It's just normal life for me. I'm not trying to impress anybody with any video editing skills.
Yeah. Lisa can pop in for a little bit, so I'll send her an invite.
Okay.
And she can tell us her story as well. She's got a really good story too. So, yeah. All right. So, I saw, like you were saying before, you kind of struggle with, you want to help people or tell people the way that you eat because it's healthy, And I think we all go through that struggle, some of my videos don't even reach 100 views. So, I don't know, like some days, I'll go to bed and I'll have like 100 views. The next day I'll wake up and it's down to like 80. I'm like, well, how does it go backwards, But that's just YouTube, I guess.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it. And we do our best, I guess. Some people just luck out and the algorithm works for them. And but we all do our bit. We do what we can.
Yeah. I think at least now we have the advantage of having other people, because for many years I didn't even know that there was any benefit to this lifestyle. I was convinced that it was good for me, but nobody else. I figured that if other people live this way, they would drop dead of a heart attack. And you notice I call all my foods heart attack. That's the thing I always like to say, but I'm not. I guess it's not true. It's a lie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like it's a species specific diet, and as long as you're of this species, then it's going to be good for you, isn't it? So,
Looks like it.
Yeah. I mean, look at how many tens of thousands of not just success stories, but healing stories there are. That's not. I mean, anecdotal evidence is pretty much how we survived throughout the millennia. Really, we tell each other stories. This worked for me, and this and that, and then that's how we've progressed. So I think it's really important to get as many stories out there as possible. So yeah, I really like hearing other people's stories. Actually, I like hearing other people's point of views on and how they did it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lisa's having a bit of trouble.
Internet.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hang on a sec.
Some of these comments are funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, some yummy lamb chops for lunch today. Sounds good. Lamb chops are great. Wait a minute. Rick, you mean you're not really trying to get a heart attack? I'm out of here. Yeah. I mean, that wasn't really the goal for me. I was just when I started eating high fat, first of like a high fat keto, it was really just about I just didn't care anymore. I just didn't care if it gave me the heart attack. If it, if I mean, it's not like even if meat did give you cancer, like it's not like it could give me any more. Once you've got it, it's not like it's going to give me more of it, is it? So
right.
it was very well. Who cares?
That's right.
Yeah, I'd certainly, like I said before too, I'd rather have the heart attack than die slowly in treatment for the rest of my life.
That's the whole idea of the heart attack diet. That's summed it up right there.
Yeah.
Have fun,
right.
be strong, live to your fullest, and then you drop dead. And that's it.
Yeah. Drive it till the wheels fall off.
That's it. Don't let off, because this is the other thing that I used to get frustrated, even with my parents and with a lot of older people. They just don't do anything anymore. It's like they lose the ability to try, and then all they do is complain. And they walk slower. I used to tell my dad, I said, the faster you walk, the longer you'll live. Well, I can't go as fast as you. My legs are not as long. So yeah, but you can try. I mean, my cat can outrun me, and he has short legs.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. It's about the trying part, Yeah.
Because I don't give up.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I mean, I'm the same. Yeah, that's the thing is people just give up too easily, and they get to a certain age, or like they think that when they get to retirement age, for example, that's it. There's nothing else for them to do. And I think that's, I think the fastest way to die is to do nothing, or to not have anything, or not to have a reason to keep going, It doesn't have to be a big reason either, if you just feel like doing what you want to do, just have something you want to do.
Well, that's it. I mean, but see, a lot of times people lose the interest in everything. Nothing excites them anymore. Nothing tastes good anymore. That's what happened with my parents. It's just, they don't care anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. You lose that caring, and like you get, it's a depression. Like you get bored of everything. Nothing's interesting anymore. So, yeah, a lot of people get that way, and it's just, I just think that's the fastest way for your body to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people retire and then they die soon after.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because like I said, like for some people, just that routine of getting up in the morning and going to work, that was enough for them to live for. But when that's gone, they think, well, that's it. It's sad. It's really sad.
Yep.
That's like, most men die after, like within 3 to 5 years of retirement.
Right.
Yeah. I just think, why bother? Why retire? Why not just keep doing stuff? There's always something to do.
Yeah.
My problem is that, like, I have quite bad ADHD as well, so it's like I have all these different things that I want to do, and I want to keep trying all these different things. I suppose it's one of the things that's kept me alive. Is that there's always something that I want to do, but I can't really just focus on one thing. So,
Yeah.
but oh well, it's the way it is at the moment. I'll keep trying to fix it. I found some lamb this week and cooked a leg of lamb yesterday. It's the first I've had. It came all the way from New Zealand. Oh, wow, it's a long way. I don't know why we can't graze sheep here in Iowa. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, I think like a lot of the grasslands in America were pretty much destroyed by monocrops. That's why you got the Dust Bowl in the middle of America. Because of monocrops, farming crops and things like that, rather than animals. Yeah. But yeah, they should be able to grow sheep, graze sheep out there, and so on, and any other ruminant, So, yeah, I don't know what it is, Lisa. It's yeah. Sometimes the internet's a bit funny like that. I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, my wife had the same problem. She couldn't watch my lives, but she could do other things. So I don't know. It's weird. YouTube stuff. It's just cool. So, but I think actually that's I was talking about that also. Like when the agricultural sort of revolution happened, like entire cultures died out because they went from hunter gatherer to growing crops. The first couple of generations got smaller and smaller. So obviously, like we all developed, we got big and tall on hunter gatherer sort of diets, but there's kind of like an energy crisis, like because we were hunting animals to extinction rather than by using regenerative farming, for example, growing cattle and things like that. But that's another good example of how bad crops are for the environment, like the Dust Bowl in the center of America, and the same thing here in Australia. It's developing the same way. Deserts are growing, and even along the coastline where we have like massive monocrops of sugarcane. We grow a lot of sugarcane here in my state, but like all these man-made fertilizers, and that just gets washed off into the oceans, and the soil is dry and pretty much going to be barren soon. There's not much topsoil left.
One of the great things about animal agriculture throughout history is that you can move animals around. So if you ever encounter a period of time when there's a lot of drought, you could simply lead them somewhere else, and then you wait until the rains return, which may take a few years. But there have been many cases in history. I mean, you've had famines where they wipe out the crops, and then the only thing left to survive on is the animals. Because if you think about it, if you're going to grow the regular monocrops, such as the corn, the wheat, and the soybeans, you have to have specific rain and specific fertility and so on to have a successful crop. But if you have a variety of animals, you could actually move them around, and you could have certain animals. I mean, you think of something like a camel that can survive in what's almost a desert. There's different types of cattle. You have goats, you have sheep, you have all these animals out there to choose from. So you could make a sustainable system. The problem is you're not going to be able to support these big cities with people living, millions of people in one area, with an animal-based agriculture system because they thrive on commodity crops. So you'll have to have smaller towns and rural. People have to be spread out more if they're going to have this carnivore lifestyle instead of having all these people piled in cities. And the way I figured it, the people that are older, that are no longer productive, those are the ones that could live in the city if they choose to. So that would be because what they can do is more of a mental thing. I think an older person that doesn't have enough physical ability can still do mental things. They still have abilities. But I think the younger people really should be spending more time in a rural area and should become very familiar with agriculture and very familiar with hunting and with all the other things that are involved. And plus, when they raise their own children, there's no better place to raise children than in a rural area because they'll get plenty of activity.
Yeah, I agree. I think like I think it's more natural to live in smaller towns rather than these large cities as well. I think it's much healthier, and there's no reason why we can't spread out more. You know, the planet is huge. I mean, there's a good channel on YouTube that actually deals specifically with that overpopulation lie. You know, like they have great videos on that actually, and you know, like the entire population of the planet could fit in, half of Alaska. You know, if they, with their arms spread out, there's plenty of land for us out there to develop into, make small towns, grow lots of, do a lot of regenerative farming with ruminant animals and all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it would also make a much greener environment because these animals give us the environment. Basically, they grow the grass, they grow the grasslands, the forest, the trees, and everything like that. So
most of our cities, like here in Miami, there's a lot of wasted space because a lot of land is used for roads and highways, and then you have shopping centers and you have office buildings and you have all these things that are completely unnecessary. With today's technology, with fiber optics, you can have high-speed internet to your home. And I would think that anyone that is doing desk work or computer work could do it from home. If you have a factory, you could even have everything fully automated at this point and just have a few people that are needed to maintain it. You can eliminate a lot of the jobs that we have that are unnecessary. Really, it's mostly government that's the reason we have that.
yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
Yeah, most unnecessary jobs around are government. Like here, I think here it's like one in four people in Australia work for the government. It's an insane amount of people. We're over governed, and the people need to. We don't need government telling us or interfering with our lives either. We don't need them to tell us what we can and can't do. We just need them to take care of international affairs, basically.
Right.
And in like small towns, they're generally much healthier for the environment, much healthier for the people as well. And they also grow local economies as well because you need skills. You need every skill to run in every town. So you have a large variety of skill-based sort of jobs as well. And I think that's just a much better way, much healthier way to live. But we'll see. I think it's going to be a lot of changes, and this year, and I don't know. There's going to be I don't know, a lot of I don't know. It's a weird situation we're in at the moment. This political sort of climate around the world. So, Rick, do you do spices?
I mean, when you say spices, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who keeps calling me. This is crazy. I may be the only person in the world that still has a phone with a bell on it. My house is a wireless free zone, and I can't even get really wireless signal. I have aluminum screens, I have mesh walls and all that, so everything's wired. But when it comes to spices, I don't really have a need for spices. This is one of the complaints I have when I get together with friends. They keep putting all of the pepper, and they put the different powders, and it's just crazy how much stuff they put on their food, and I don't really use any. I never put anything on meat. I don't even salt my beef ever. The only thing I do salt, I salt my heart attack chicken. But no, I don't really spices don't make sense to me. I have viewed for many years that spices are just a way of making cheap food palatable. And I think that's the reason why they were looking around the world to try to get these spices so they could feed people slop and they wouldn't complain about it. So I really
Yeah.
don't see the spices as being anything great. But I have friends that swear that they are the healthiest thing in the world and that eating all those spices is going to make you live longer. And I just don't see the point of it.
No, I agree. I mean, over the years, I've tried all these different herbs and spices and things like that. That everyone keeps saying they're great for building your immune system, fighting cancer, and all this complete BS.
Mm-hmm.
And like beforehand, like before I was diagnosed, it was really just to flavor my food because it didn't have any taste,
Right.
basically. But now
Right.
I don't use any herbs or spices at all.
Mm-hmm.
I used to like rosemary actually on chicken, but I don't eat chicken anyway. So now, the only thing I do use is salt, like a good mineral salt. And I've actually using less and less of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I use it in my water to basically to remineralize my water because where I am now, I have it's just rainwater.
Mm-hmm.
It's filtered, but I filter it still. I still filter it, and
Right.
I remineralize it with a good mineral salt. So that's basically where I use most of my salt is just to remineralize my water. That's the only thing I use now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
yeah. If you need seasoning or sauce to certain food to make it palatable, then it's not food. Yeah, exactly. In the first
That's
place,
it.
I agree.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. It's not food.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I do love rosemary. I have what my husband calls rosemary tree. Rosemary tree that is taking up dining room. That's, yeah, it does smell really nice. I really like the smell of rosemary. Actually, my parents have it growing in the garden. So
Hmm.
when I did use it, I did. I guess all natural. It's great when on a roast. I think actually even with roast lamb, it is great with roast lamb and roast chicken. Rosemary is actually very good for that. Taste wise, it's very nice for flavor, but there's nothing in that, no health benefit at all to having it. It won't affect you. I don't think it'll affect most people in a negative way, but there's no positive benefit for it either. So, yeah. Thank you, Deborah. Really appreciate it. So, let me see. Rick's disappeared for a bit. I think he's on the phone. Rick has a direct line to the 70s, the 1970s. That's probably who he was calling.
Okay.
Isn't that
There was,
right,
I
Rick?
guess there was, yeah, the lights went on and off. There was, I guess, a car accident. I heard a big bang. So somebody must
Oh,
have
okay.
hit a light pole.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. As I was saying, you've got a direct line to the 70s.
Well, yeah, it's like living in the old days around here. I mean, look at what kind of phone I have to use. Well, I don't have to, but there it is.
Wow. I bet most people watching this haven't seen one of them before.
That's true. You can even put them on hold, It's everything here. I mean, the thing is that I have a lot of new technology. I mean, everything runs off the internet. So, I mean, we're over here, we're talking on a video. So I just tell everybody this is the way that I would like to have been in the old days because back then we only had long distance calls and they cost too much. I couldn't communicate with anybody across the world like I'm doing now. But the
Yeah.
stuff that I like, the stuff that surrounds me, I like that aesthetic. So I'm not getting rid of it. I'm keeping it. And I can make it
Yeah.
work. It's like an old car. I can drive an old car and feel good. I drive a new one. I mean, first of all, most of the new cars I'm allergic to. I get in one of these cars, they have a very strong chemical smell, and it really bothers me. And it's
Yeah.
even the exhaust, they have those catalytic converters, and they put out some type of, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's irritating. And I drive around in an old beat up diesel and it doesn't really bother me. So it's very strange. I live in a moldy house. It doesn't bother me. I go into a perfectly clean home and I'm sneezing. So,
Yeah.
I guess everybody's different.
Yeah. Like you said though before, like you're quite very sensitive. I mean, you've been on a natural diet your whole life, so you're far more sensitive to these things than we are. So I think that's
I can't even be around paint. I haven't painted my house in decades, and most of these commercial paints, they're too strong for me. I can't deal with it. Even clothing, I have to wear these cotton clothing with natural dyes because a lot of the synthetic clothing bothers me. That when it's hot, it gets that chemical smell. I'm very sensitive to a lot of chemicals and solvents, and that's one of the problems I have. I can't even use commercial soap because commercial soap can give me a headache. If I use those stupid those alcohol-based sanitizers, those will give me a headache and make me feel dizzy. So I don't do that. Hairspray,
that was
perfume.
something, that was something I was really hypersensitive to going through treatments too. Was that the smells of the hospital
Mm-hmm.
and the smells of those hand lotions, the alcohol and stuff like that. That smell would make me sick to my stomach. Like I would throw up just from the smell.
Right. That's it.
And they told me I had white coat syndrome, and I kind of did, but it was just I was super sensitive to all those different chemical smells, and anything that was, it could be anything, even some people's body odor would make me sick. I would be vomiting again. It's just different chemicals that I'm really sensitive to. What do you think of essential oils?
I have no use for them.
No, not me either. Like you were talking about the clothes, like cotton and natural dyes. Like I agree. Like these shirts that I get made now, they are 100% cotton. I think what you touch is just as important as what you eat. You absorb a lot through your skin. So I quite like. I only use like tallow soaps, and I don't use any sort of moisturizer or anything like that. But I think natural ingredients, natural products.
I never understood the whole need of a moisturizer. I've seen people use it, but I never understood the reasoning behind it. Never made
because
sense.
they're not getting it from their diet. Like collagen, especially like collagen is like the most prolifically used amino acid in the body, and they're just not getting it from a plant-based diet or low-fat diet because we get it from fat.
Well, yeah, I mean, I work with mechanical. I work in dirt, and you can see my hands aren't that bad for somebody that works with engines and dirt and all that. And some people get cracks. It's like when we get our rare cold weather, they get the cracked lips. I don't get that. But my hair is full of lard and tallow, and I make my own soap. And as you can see, I use these shirts that they're not even bleached. They're these industrial, I don't know what they're just cotton. They're just basically cotton undershirts, and they have no bleaching, no color or nothing. They look like basically cotton. They even make some that are in hemp. I don't have those now, and I always wear this underneath everything else anyway. All my underwear is cotton. So it works for me.
I think it's important, like synthetic clothes. You actually still absorbs the chemicals that come from those clothes, so it's quite important.
They're way too hot, and it's like a lot of people in construction. They wear these long sleeve synthetic shirts. They're like orange or yellow or bright color. I've tried to put those things on. I get so hot, and I start feeling sick. So I would rather. They're what?
They're quite thin too, but they're still really hot. Yeah.
They're really hot, and I cannot wear those long sleeve shirts in this climate. The only time I wear a long sleeve shirt is when I'm in an office and it's a dress shirt, and those are all basically cotton. They're just a dyed cotton, and they don't bother me. But I can't wear those. I don't know what they're. Everybody wears them. I can't wear them because they just make me too hot. When I was younger, half the time, either the construction guys had no shirt or they had the shirt with no sleeves on it, and that seemed to work good. But now everybody's got the long sleeve synthetic shirts, and I can't stand those things.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the more natural your clothes, the better. It's going to be certainly much healthier and much more comfortable. And yeah, like you said, there's a lot of heat comes in those synthetic clothes. So yeah, I try to stick to cotton, all cotton. Like even my hat is 100% cotton. So
there you go.
So much easier.
I think cotton and hemp are the way to go.
I'm the same with these oils and stuff. They're not essential. A lot of them are just oils, man-made oils as well. So, and yeah, all plant-based as well. I think if you
coconut oil, I've used coconut oil to make soap, and it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Actually, coconut oil is not bad.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
coconuts
cook
are
with
fine.
it. Yeah, I wouldn't cook with it.
I used it for making soap. It was quite good. Coconut oil also works on your hair. I mean, coconut oil doesn't bother me. But if I ever put I tried to put soybean oil in my hair one time, and when it's got in my eyes, it was so irritating. I couldn't deal with it. So I found out a long time ago when I was a kid, use tallow is the best. Lard is another one. And coconut oil. Coconut oil does not bother me. You know, even if it gets in my eyes, all it would do is just make them a little blurry, but it's not irritating. And lard does the same thing. But if you use one of those seed oils and it gets in your eyes, it burns. It's just really harsh stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's highly processed as well. But yeah, I mean, they're far more healthier for your skin as well because it's got, fat has all the things that we need for our skin, especially collagen and our bone health and all that as well. So, yeah. That's the phone the managers and their secretaries had when I first started working the bomb factory. Excuse me. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Lisa drives in 71 F100.
There you go.
Yeah,
like a 6-cylinder.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. She does. She has a caravan and the F100, sort of all color, sort of coded, very 50s style.
That's
and
good.
She just travels around Australia like that. So
my truck is a 1990 Ford, and it's a diesel, and it runs on used seed oils.
Yeah.
Once I get it going again, I'll be making trips again.
Yeah. So how are you going with that? You nearly there?
I haven't gotten the engine yet. I've been waiting for my friend to get it for me, and I don't know. They've been so busy. They had snow up in North Florida, and then they were working on their trailer, and I don't know. I haven't even bothered him. Then it was the anniversary, then the birthday for the kids. It's just been one thing after the other. Hopefully soon he'll come down with my engine. Once I have the engine, I'll go ahead and check it, and clean it out, and then I'll install it in the truck. Then one day I'll take my old one apart and see what's wrong with it. But at least this way I can get it going.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it'd be good to have wheels again, eh?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I have my van, but the transmission is not that great. I can drive the van. I drive it for working. But what I've done to try to save on fuel, because I have to run diesel in that, although I made that diesel from plastic, but I don't have a lot of it. I use a bicycle for all the store trips. And the thing is, it doesn't really take that much longer because the traffic here is so bad at that time. Sometimes it's even faster on the bicycle than it is in the car or truck.
Yeah, it works out that way sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah, traffic's so bad in built-up areas. So,
I take the canal shortcut. There's a path that goes back there. I can go around the traffic, and then I can keep an eye out for the iguanas.
Yeah. Iguana hunter.
Oh, yeah. You can't resist a good iguana.
I'm gonna have to try that someday. We got big lizards here, the goannas, and that they can get sometimes get pretty long, like 5 foot. So they can get pretty big.
That's it.
4 to 5
Cook it up.
So, yeah, they're pretty big actually. So I might rip a leg off of one of them. See what that tastes like someday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cook them up.
Any good recipes for lizard?
I mean, you could start with simple boiled lizard, put a little salt in water and boil it up, or you can deep fry it. I mean, I do make heart attack iguana from time to time, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, deep fry sounds good actually.
Deep fried in beef tallow or lard is delicious.
Bit fattier. Yeah, that
Mhm.
sounds good. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Well,
All right.
we've almost hit 2 hours, so I think we'll leave it there and let Rick go because I think it's be getting pretty late over there.
Yeah, I still got to eat my dinner.
Oh, sorry about that, mate.
It's all right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, mate. Really, really good chat. Great catching up with you again. But thanks everyone for joining us in the chat. If you have any questions, please, for either of us, just leave them in the comments below, and we'll try and get back to you. Otherwise,
Excellent.
hope you all have a great day or night. Any last words, Rick?
All right. Catch you next time.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right.